Hello, everybody. It is Tuesday, December 22nd, about 5:30 p.m. This is meteorologist Shay Gibson with iKitesurf, Wind Alert, and our other weather flow apps. And I wanted to say Merry Christmas to everybody in Tampa Bay. I won't be able to make it for the Santa Jam event, but I love doing the forecast for everybody. This is one thing I love doing every year. Hopefully next year, with COVID things kind of calm down, I can do some traveling and join you guys for the event next year. But either way, Merry Christmas to you all. Remember, those that are putting the event on, be patient. Just do it all for the kids. Keep everything positive. I think it's gonna end up being a good day. So let's go ahead and jump into the forecast. I'll put myself down here in the corner. And once again, hats off for the great design on the shirt. Santa Jam 2020 right here in Tampa Bay. So this is awesome. What a great design this is. Let's go ahead and take a look at the surface map. Oh, wrong one. Let me pull this over and get this started. So we talked last time about a cold front approach towards the Florida peninsula, right? So this is a pretty strong cold front and maybe causing some severe weather in portions of the southeastern mid-Atlantic region. But I think we're okay for the Florida area. In fact, the Storm Prediction Center for day 3 does not see anything significant for the Florida area except for maybe up towards Pensacola over towards Okaloosa and these other areas up in the sort of the Panhandle area. But I think more of the convective activity is going to be limited to portions of the Grand Strand up through the Mid-Atlantic. So it looks like we're okay. Going back to the surface map, what looks like happens here, one thing we got to be wary of is keeping an eye on radar because we may see some of the prefrontal shower activity develop out ahead of this as high pressure over the Atlantic really brings in a southerly flow ahead of it. You see the cold front approaching here as we get into Thursday morning. There is some moisture suggested, but this is a surface map from the WPC and it's not exact, so it doesn't look like we talked about it last time as well, where the southern portion of the cold front weakens because of this large ridge forcing northerly winds and drier air down behind it. The further away it is from the parent lows up to the north, the weaker it gets as these winds push through it. So drier air, also cooler condensing air right along the backside of it tends to weaken this area. So the storm lines fall apart. We end up just with a few showers or rains and maybe nothing at all, but I think we'll still probably get a few showers through the area, but later in the day, which is good for the event. If we go a little further out, as we get into Thursday night, that's when the front pushes overhead, but we're going to probably see that northerly turn a little sooner as the ridge over Texas develops. We see the winds line up from the ice attacks along the isobars, which makes this geostrophic flow in meteorological terms, where it follows the isobars. And that's the sort of wind that we're going to get. It might be a little bit punchy at nighttime as well. But the main thing is keeping this front a little pushed out a little further because that's generally what happens the other day. 2 days ago, we saw this front was going to be crossing the area around noon. Now it's going to be more like 6 or 7 o'clock p.m. So that sounds about right for what happens with these models. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of the low-level jetting. This is a complex sort of thing to look at. It's kind of an old school product, but I loved taking a peek at it. It's called ADS, and we can look at the low-level jetting profile. So if we want to know if, hey, is there going to be enough strength in this cold front to have southerly flow blow? Well, sometimes I defer to this. So we get into Thursday morning. If we look down over the Florida area, we're specifically looking for this. I'm going to leave this circle in place for the Tampa Bay area. And what I'll do is I'm going to go from the surface up to 3,000 feet and look at what the low-level jetting profile is forecast to do. Now, at 3,000 feet, looks like about 35 knots over the area, which is a good sign. If it was 25, I might be worried we might not get enough wind at the surface. But sometimes these low-level jets will force enough to the surface to get down, especially when we get to the afternoon where the low-level jetting profile increases to 45 and almost even 50 knots, very close to 50 knots. So that's a good sign. If we go a little higher up in the atmosphere to 6,000 feet, we see that low-level jetting profile increasing as the mid-level low associated with this front really digs down south. So we have a real deep upper or mid to upper trough digging down, which is forcing this low-level jetting. And that's really key for the forecast right there. So I think we're pretty safe. Go to GFS model on the precip. Let's take a look at what they're showing for when the arrival of precipitation. This is by, if we look at the number here, let me take that little circle off the bottom. Remember, these models are always done in UTC time, so 18Z is 6 o'clock p.m. We minus 5 hours. That means it's 1 o'clock p.m. at this point. So we see rains just to the west of Tampa Bay area, and then approaching over the next 3 hours or 6 hours, spreading over the area in the afternoon. However, I do want to start looking at the higher resolution models because GFS is very coarse resolution in nature. And we look at the NAM12. Now remember, we look at the 11Z and we minus 5 hours out of it and we keep going forward. We see that the shower activity does not really start to work into the area until around 4 o'clock p.m., which is a good sign. As we get into tomorrow, we'll see the NAM 3. I'm sorry, the not NAM 3, but the HER 3 kilometer, which is a really good rain model if anybody ever wants to know, and we'll get a better picture. So usually when you start to get about 24 hours out, actually 18 hours, the HER is really good. The RAP is another one. But this is a good sign that it looks like there's no showers until later in the afternoon, according to the NAM 3, which is a high resolution model, and it does okay for precip, but it really shows the storms breaking up as well. You may have one squall-like line that right in the evening hours, right after dark, and then maybe one more trailing shower behind that along where the real cold front is, which is back here behind all of the moisture. So that's the prefrontal build. Looks like Florida's okay. A lot of this other stuff here is just scatter. Doesn't really mean much. Maybe along the southeast coast, you may have some of those onshore showers or convective cells, but for the most part, Florida looks pretty good. Um, what else do we want to talk about? Temperature looks like 74. So according to the GFS ensemble, this is going to be the warmest temperature for the next several days as things cool down after Christmas. That northerly wind will also bring some cool air down. May even see some 30s as we get into Saturday night. But either way, looks like 74 for the high temperature that day. Water temperatures, we'll take a quick peek because that may matter. You may get a little bit of shallow marine layering in there. And what I mean by that is if the sea surface temperatures are roughly, you start to get about 12 to 15 degree difference between air, which is warmer, and the cooler waters. You start to see that shallower marine layering and the decoupling of winds at the surface. And so we want to avoid that. So the lower the air temperature, the better off we are. If it goes up to 77 towards 80, then we know we're going to have some real problems. But I think as long as it stays in low 70s, we'll probably be all right. And some of that low level jetting will be allowed to settle down to the surface from the mid levels. Let's take a look. And it looks like we're at 65.3. So the air temperature is 74, and and the water temperature being 65.3. That's not too bad. That's only about a little between 8 and 9 degree difference. So it's looking pretty good. Let's go ahead and take a look at the wind forecast, and I'm going to call for, and this is kind of the moment everybody's waiting for, when are the wind's going to come up. I'm going to take Tampa Bay cut J, only because it's a central point in the Tampa Bay area, and doesn't mean it's exactly going to be this way. Each point may have some nuances to it, but we're going to go ahead and select all, because we know that Skyway may likely be an area where this goes down or not. I'm not sure where Robert's going to. I'll have a conversation with him tonight and say, hey, what's going to be your final call? But either way, it's up to him and those who are putting on the organization or the event. But it looks like there's a lot of model agreement here on the right. If you look, there's just a really good amount of model agreement on southerly winds. May it be south-southwest, south. There doesn't look like a lot of southeast or south-southeast, which is a good thing. It's lining up more southerly, or what we call meridional, where it's going up along, or the longitudinal winds along the meridional flow coming across. So it really looks like the base of the winds is 10 knots, but we're seeing more models get into agreement with more of a moderate flow starting late morning to midday. Looks like we're going to have mid-teens, possible upper teens or lower 20s as we go into the afternoon. So it looks like the trend is upwards throughout the day at this point. That's been the trend since last night, actually, where a lot of these models are in agreement with it. So, really looks pretty good. I'm going to call sometime around noon. We're probably going to have 12 to 16 knots, and I think low-level jetting will help increase that by around 2 or 3 o'clock p.m. when we may be up near 16 to 20. That may be a little bit optimistic, but I think the low-level jetting profile will allow for that to happen as long as the air temperatures don't go too much higher. If we get air temperatures near 80, we may back down to about 13 to 17 knots overall, just because of the decoupling factor. But I think that's going to do it for the forecast. I really wish everybody the best, and hopefully the showers will stave off through later in the day. But I think the best window of time based on the forecast is going to be maybe 10, 11 o'clock a.m. start time, then go on through 2 or 3 until things start to show up on radar, and you'll see that coming on radar. So keep an eye on that and don't get caught out on the wire. It looks like the winds will remain south for much of the day. All right, guys. Well, everyone have a good event this year. Take care. Merry Christmas, and thanks for watching. See you guys soon.